What's up Nakama dudes, this is RJ and today we're gonna talk about one of the most requested video in my channel right now. So this video is the deck profile of the build that I used that made it to the top 10 of the flagship main of Aqua card games. So if you are a control player or if you are a player that wants to control the board and just go for the kill, Z is the right leader for you. So let's go. My deck is divided into three parts: the support and situational cards, the main cards, and the event cards. But before we dive into the build, let's talk a bit about my leader. So my leader is Z. He is a purple-black leader that he has the ability that if you return 4 Dawn, he can KO a character that costs 3 or less, and he gains 1000 power value during that battle. So the reason why these cards are called support cards is because you're gonna use them primarily for their counter value. So majority of them got 2k counter value here, 2k here, 2k here, 2k here, 2k here. But they are also situational based on the matchup. So for example, I have here a set of Garp and a set of Sengoku. So I use them whenever I'm paired with red or red green because they can easily take out smaller characters. So Sengoku's ability is during if I attach him 1 Dawn, whenever he's attacking, I can lessen a character cost by 2 and paired it with Garp's ability that he can KO character that costs 0. I can easily take out smaller characters. So this ladies right here, I have a set of Tsuru, a pair of Tashiki ST, and OP02 Tashiki. I use them whenever I'm facing bigger characters such as green. I use them on their on play ability to lessen the cost of that character, and then use Sakazuki or Z's ability to KO that threat. Then this Tashiki, I use her as my trap card. So I usually play her during the early rounds and then I won't attack with her unless I have a bigger threat that I need to deal with. Then here, for the purple sport cards, I have a set of Sasaki. So as a Z player, you'd want to play second because there's a natural curve for the marine cards. They are always in the even number. So you always want to have even number of dawns. But there are situations that you are forced to play first. So you're gonna play Sasaki so that you can ramp up and then go to that even number of dawn. Then X Drake, usually use him whenever I'm facing card hoarders such as Whitebeard. So I want to chip in on that resource that they have so I can easily deal lethal damage whenever the time comes. I don't want them to hold a lot of hands, so I usually use him to make them discard 1 card. Moving on to the main cards, I have here Jack. Again, he is used primarily for going to the even number of dawn. So whenever I'm forced to play first, I make sure that I mulligan for Jack so that I can easily go to my natural curve. Next one is a set of Borsalino, one of the best blockers in the game. He has the ability that if it's your opponent's turn, he has 1k power as well as additional 1k power as well as immunity to effects. So there's a trick that I use whenever I'm attacking a red player that I always put 2 dawns on him so that he can be killed by a triggered jet pistol. He's also one of the 2 blockers in this deck. I don't usually use low cost blockers mainly due to the advent of characters or effects that can easily kill those characters. So for me, if I'm facing red, like Nico Robin can easily kill those low cost as well as Vista. So that's a wasted resource for me. So I opted to just go for counter values and then use Borsalino and Queen as my blockers. So I already mentioned Queen, so I have a set of Queen here. One of the best blockers in game. He can make you draw 2 and then he also has a 6k power as a blocker, so he's very good. And I always use him whenever I'm looking for answer to the board. As a Z player, you want to control the board so that you always look for answers to bigger threats. So Queen is a good way to look for those answers. Now, I have here a set of Kuzan. So he's also a draw engine. So he's also good for looking for those answers. And he also has the ability that jive with Z. So whenever there's a 7 cost creature or less, it's always an easy KO because you just attack with Kuzan, decrease the cost of that character by 4, and then use Z's ability to kill the character. Now we have here Smoker. So Smoker is sort of like a situational character, but I primarily use him as a 7k beater. So Smoker will be your MVP whenever you're facing Kaido because he has this ability that he cannot be KO'd by effect. So if a Kaido player plays 10 cost Kaido, he cannot be killed by that effect. So he'll just gonna stay there in the field as a 7k block, as a 7k beater. So I also put one of him in the deck so that whenever I'm facing Kaido, I just look for him and then I have easier time dealing with the bigger characters of that deck. Here, the secondary removal, Sakazuki. So I have a set of Sakazuki. I use him whenever I have to deal with blockers that cost 5 or less. So one of my favorite targets here is also Queen. It costs 5, so I can deal with him and deal some damage. And he's also a good card against RG Law because Law, their main card is just 5 cost, so you can easily deal with him. I always mulligan for Sakazuki whenever I'm facing RG Law, and he also has a good body with 7k. Now, the MVP of this deck is of course the 10 cost Kusan. You can easily deal with any creatures once you have him on board because he lessened the value of all, he lessened the casting cost of all the characters on the field, opponent's field by 5. So whenever you're facing green, like the Odins, the 8 cost kid, the 7 cost kid, you can play him and then deal with any characters with Z's ability because the only character cost that you can deal with naturally is the 9 and 10 cost, but with Tsuru as well as with Tashiki, any characters are reachable with Z's ability. Then we have here the event cards. So I have here a pair of Shockwave and a pair of Great Eruption. So Shockwave, of course, I don't have a lot of blockers, so I usually rely with this to fend off an attack. And if they mistakenly attack with leader first, I can easily take out a 3 cost because the ability of Shockwave is counter, add 4k power to a character or leader, and then KO an active character that costs 3 or less. And if you trigger this card, you can KO 4 cost character. So this is easily one of the best counters as a staple as a block player. You'd always want to have that, at least a pair of that. Then this one, I added him because as you see, you'd always want to answer the board. So there are times that you're looking for characters or cards that can answer the board. So you always want to dig with Great Eruption. So this card lets you draw one and then -2 the cost. So again, additional consistency for the Tsuru effect. So I draw one and then lessen the character's cost by 2. Then if it's reachable by Z, I always KO it. Of course, if it's a big threat that I need to answer. So there you go. This is my deck that made it into the top 10 of the flagship main. I built this as a fun deck actually, And hopefully, I see a lot of you convert to Z Nation. So, that's my deck. Hope you enjoy. Bye!